Comic books, superheroes, and video games are manly things, right, Prof? Darn straight, darn straight. No, this is sort of an aside. I think it's weakness. It's an effeminization of manhood. Now, when I say an effeminization of manhood, I don't mean it's a feminine trait. I mean, masculinity should be a certain way, and it shouldn't be femininity, right? There's two different things. So if you have an effeminization of masculinity, it's pulling masculinity away from what it should be. It's not necessarily saying that trait that's pulling it away from it is definitely feminine or the healthy, developed feminine. No. So, but it is an effeminization of manhood to lose control, to not be able to assert self-control. And we've seen this, when we were doing the book study of Shatterpoint. Mace Windu is up against this this person who's 100% primal, bestial, by instinct, and rules like an alpha dog, by fear. And Mace Windu goes up against him at one point and orchestrates this situation in which he lets the guy kick his butt. I mean, hard, and really make him look bad, like drag his pride through the dirt, and make him look so weak and in front of everybody. But you find out that he had a very specific reason for doing it, so that he could do this, and that. It was all part of his plan. It was a perfectly logical plan. And the person he's explaining it to later is like, how did you, in Mace Windu says, again, paraphrasing, but he says, our only hope against people who can't control themselves is to absolutely control ourselves. And that's, you don't lose self-control. It's fun. It's fun to hear about catharsis, to experience the catharsis of like an anti-hero. It's fun to watch a Punisher, this and that, or story or whatever. But that's why it's dangerous. That's why it's so just disgusting. People who want to call for Batman to go out and just kill people and be an insane, crime fighter, tortured by his inner demons, and he just goes out for vengeance on everybody. And it's speaking to their own lack of self-control. It's speaking to their own inability to come to terms with their own shadow. The real man has control over his own shadow. He doesn't deny the shadow, and you don't repress the shadow, your shadow self. You acknowledge it and control it. Put a harness on it. You use it and let it have its day, but you use it in a controlled way. That's real manhood. And I forgot what got me on that. I was going somewhere with it, developing that, going back to a certain point, but I forgot what the video games and stuff. Because I hear sometimes I hear a lot of Catholic channels, talk about, they'll try and lump video games in with like pornography, like things that are detrimental to men, and pornography certainly is, because it's trying to get a reward for something that you did no work for, just on the very surface level, among the many other things or whatever. But it can be described as an effeminization of man. You're pouring all your time, energy into this one thing. But they try and lump video games in with that, which is pretty absurd. Yes, it is very possible, and there have been instances, very sad cases, of people who are just addicted to a video game. And it's a slope that you can fall down, because a video game tells you that you're achieving something, you're doing something, you're accomplishing something. You gain these trophies, you achieve these quests, you did this thing or whatever. You get a sense of accomplishment. And that's good. It feels good. And but in the end of the day, when you turn the game system off, you haven't done a darn thing. You haven't accomplished a single thing that day. So it's dangerous, and it is dangerous to sink all of your time into video games. But that's ridiculous. That's like somebody saying, alcohol is evil because people get addicted to it and ruin their lives with it. People are going to get addicted and ruin their lives with just about anything. If you're going to say something's evil, you got to have some more moral reasons for that. For my sake, a video game is a way to experience story. It's a way to, it's in a bit of an escape. It's entertainment, sure, but it's also a way to experience story in a way that's so different from reading a book or watching a film. Our brains are wired, whether we're watching a movie or reading a novel, our brains, and they've hooked up people like to, MRIs and whatnot as they've read, and they've seen the parts of their brain that lights up. as they're reading and experiencing story. And they found that even subconsciously, we cannot help but to put ourselves in the place of the main character that's going through something. Asking ourselves, what would we do in that situation? Or what would it be like to experience what they're experiencing in that situation? And that's why the types of stories you consume are so important, because if you're consuming nothing but a bunch of nihilistic, this or that, that's the exercises you're putting your brain through. What if I was experiencing that? What if I was in that situation where there was no right answer? Just there was nothing right to do. You're shaping your worldview little by little, and you don't even realize it. But a video game is a way where you're actually consciously deciding on some stuff, depending on the video game. I like games like Knights of the Old Republic, where you can choose to go to the dark side or the light side. And games like The Witcher or things like that, where you choose certain paths, and the story is tailored to your decisions that you make in those situations. I really like that kind of game because it just gives you a new way of experiencing story, and done in a healthy way, and certainly a measured way. It's good for, I think it's very good for development.